Hi, welcome. So we have looked at lots of interesting things in Python. We started with basic data structures, looked at conditionals and functions, and then we also looked at classes, your introduction to object-oriented programming. And now we are going to look at the core packages which make up data analysts. So if you are a web developer, you'll be looking at Django Flask from after the previous videos, you now move to Django Flask. But like a data analyst or data scientist, you now move to NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib. So in this video, we are starting with NumPy, and then we are going to continue with the other packages in the subsequent video. So NumPy is very good for computational purposes, as you would see, and it also supports packages like Pandas under the hood and other visualization packages as well. So let's go straight to the computer and see the basics of NumPy. We are here and we are just first going to install NumPy. Pip install NumPy. Then you press your shift enter to run. So when you do that, for Anaconda, NumPy is already installed, so it will not be a problem. That's why you see requirement already satisfied up there. So the thing now to do is just to import your NumPy. So you can import NumPy as NP. This is what we mostly see people importing NumPy. So you can import it as James, as anything you want, but then as NP is what most people are using. So we can just keep it like that. It's just an alias as. So now we want to create a 1D array. So we would say maybe A equals to np dot array, and then now we say 1, maybe 2, 3, 4. So now we have our numbers inside the array, and if for example we type A here, we see that we are going to get the array there, and we can even get the type of A. So we can say what is the type. We are going to see that it is a NumPy array. So we can also create a 2D array. So we're just going to be playing with NumPy so that you see some of the things you can do. You flex your mind. You will use a lot of pandas as you see in the subsequent videos, but NumPy is good to understand the principle of how it works. So in this case, when you're doing a 2D array, you need 2 boxes. So let's just say the first one is 1, 2, 3, and then now the second one, now you open it up as well. Then you have maybe 4, 5, and 6, for example. So if we run this, and then we see that here, let's check, NumPy has no attribute array. So clearly we had to type array here and it will work. So it's also good to see some of those things. So you see the array now, which is made up of the first row and the second row. So this is the first row, this is the second row, and then you have the first column, the second column, the third column. So there are some attributes that the array already has. So you can say, for example, if you want to get a shape, so you can print an a.shape, for example, and then you can also print a b.shape, for example. So let's just print as well a b.shape. We run both, and we can see that clearly the A is 4, and then you see B is a 2 by 3. So A is just a 4 by 1. So as you can see, you can get the shape. You can even also get the data types. Just to see the data type again, you can say print, for example, a.dtype, example, and then you print b.dtype. So when we run that, so it's an integer 32. So you can change those data types, but then it's not there are so many things you can do. I'll just show you a couple of things. You can see the number of bytes, the space it occupies. So you can be able to see what is the size of A, maybe what is the size of B, for example, and even the size itself in terms of the size of the object. So so it's a 6 because you have 6 elements. 2 by 3 is a 6. Then you can check out BA, for example. Then you can even check out the bytes of B, for example. So there are lots of things you can do, and it's 24 because it's bigger than A, so the size is bigger. So as usual, let us see if it's ordered, if we can access elements as we've been seeing with the other data structures. If you have not looked at the previous videos on basic data structures, you can always go and check, but it's simple. We can create maybe an array. Let's just create an array like this one, np.array, and then we say we just create a 2D array. So I'm just going to close this here, close this one, and then put my boxes, put my 2 boxes. So 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the second row we get the other boxes here. So we say 8, maybe 9, 10, 11, maybe 12, 13, 14, for example. So if we run this, we have our array. So we could decide to get let's just see A, that's the array. So it's if you can see, so a.shape, you can still see that here again, 2 by 7. So now we can decide to get just the first. If you see here, if I run this, for example, so it is telling me which element is on the, because remember it's a 0 index 0, so which is on the 1. So this is 0 row, 1 row, so this is the rows on this side and the columns here, and on the foot, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's why you get this 12. So take, for example, you set 0, 1, let's just put 0, 1 there, 0 and 1, so you get 2 because it is on the 0 line and it's on the 1 line. So if you take, for example, 0 and 0, for example, you get 1. So this one here is the 0th row and the 0 column. So this is the row, this is the column. So it's interesting to know that you can, as the elements are ordered in a NumPy array. So again, you could still decide to get, like we saw in the other data structures, maybe the first, that's the 0, is 0, 1, so it's actually the second row. And then here you just simply say give me everything. So if you run it, you get this 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 till 14. So that's how you could just take out just a single row and then all the elements of the column. So there are some of those things that we've already seen. You can play with them here. So if, for example, I take this and then I take a -1, so if you see 7, 14, so it's actually that I just want to get the last column and then all the rows, so 7 and 14. So just play with it. That's the best way to learn how to use these things, is just to play with them. So we can also check mutability. So we can just check, okay, mutability, can we change things here? So just to check, just practice and you'll be used to these things. So we can say, for example, can I change these elements here, the one on the second row and the seat column, remember that. So I want to change it to 20, and then I want to see the new A. So if you see here, it has been changed to 20. The 13 here has been changed to 20. So you can always do that to change things here. So it's interesting to note that. And then there are times you want to make a copy of the array, copy. So is remember we looked at a similar thing like this when we're trying to copy lists. So for the NumPy, if you get an array like this, for example, let's just create an array, np.array, then we put in maybe 1, 2, 3. So if you remember, when we're doing lists, if you had to get a copy for B so that they are not identical, then you have to use a dot copy. So you can always go back and look at lists to remind yourself of that. So A is this, then B is a dot copy. So when you run this now, and then maybe, for example, you change b's, one of b's elements to the, maybe the first element to be 100, for example, and then you print out a and b now. So let's just print a, then we print b, and we print b, print b, then we run it. We see that a is 123, b instead of 1 has 100 because of this change here. So you can see that you to be able to get a copy of a numpy array, you need to use the method .copy. We saw a similar thing when we were doing lists, so we'll not waste a lot of time explaining this to you, but just know that to get a copy that is not the same, not identical, not having the same ID like the parent here a, you need a .copy. Otherwise, the two of them will be pointing to the same identity like we saw in the list, and then each time you change this b is going to affect a. So these are just some of the basic things that you can do with NumPy, and you see they pick some of the things that we've seen before, and some things are new. So I hope you've been able to understand the basics of NumPy, and in the next video we are going to continue to look at some things like some mathematics, some statistics, some other interesting things that you can do with NumPy. So see you next video. Wish you good data luck.